The transport shuttle dropped Ralph at the edge of the pine forest, and she watched it disappear into the violet sky of Kepler 442b. The mountain cabin stood exactly as the Colonial Registry had promised, isolated, weathered, and gloriously empty. Or so she thought. Ralph had traveled 300 light-years for this solitude. Earth's sprawling megacities, the constant neural chatter of the network, the endless demands of a hyper-connected civilization. She'd left it all behind. Here, on humanity's most remote colony world, she would finally find peace among the ancient peaks that predated human arrival by billions of years. The cabin's door creaked open. Inside, dust motes danced in the amber light filtering through cracked windows. Ralph set down her supply crate and breathed in the musty air. Perfect. Then she noticed the scorch marks on the wooden floor. They formed a pattern, like something massive had coiled there repeatedly over years, perhaps centuries. The marks were old, worn smooth by time, but unmistakable. Ralph's heart quickened. The Colonial Survey had declared this region lifeless, devoid of anything larger than moss and primitive lichens. "You're in my spot," rumbled a voice that seemed to emanate from the mountain itself. Ralph spun around. In the cabin's darkest corner, where shadow pooled deepest, two enormous eyes opened. They glowed like molten copper, ancient and intelligent, fixed upon her with what might have been amusement. The creature unfurled itself slowly, scales scraping against wood. It was serpentine, massive, with wings folded tight against its sides, wings that would barely fit through the cabin door. Crystalline horns swept back from its head, and when it exhaled, the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. A dragon, an actual impossible dragon. The survey said, Ralph began, then stopped. Her xenobiology training kicked in despite her shock. "You're not native to Kepler 442b. The evolutionary markers are all wrong. The atmospheric composition wouldn't support your respiratory system." The dragon's laugh was like grinding glaciers. "Observant for a human. No, I'm not from this world. I am not from any world you would recognize." It shifted, and Ralph saw that one of its wings bore an ancient scar, the scales there dull and malformed. "I am Molly, and I have existed since before your species learned to make fire." Ralph's mind raced. First contact protocols, xenological classification systems, the implications for human expansion. All of it tumbled through her thoughts. Then she remembered why she'd come here in the first place. To escape complications. "I paid for this cabin," she said flatly. "I have a colonial deed." Molly's eyes narrowed. "I have been here for 3,000 of your years. I was here when this world was surveyed. I was here when your colony ships arrived. I have been here through 17 previous human tenants, all of whom eventually left. Because you scared them off. Because they could not bear the silence." Molly's head tilted, studying her. "You are different. You came here seeking isolation." "Why?" Ralph hesitated. The dragon's gaze was unnerving. Not threatening, but penetrating, as if it could read the weariness etched into her soul. "Does it matter?" "It matters to me. I have crossed galaxies and dimensions, seeking places forgotten by time. I choose isolation deliberately. Humans, I have observed, rarely choose it. They flee to it, driven by wounds." The accuracy of that statement hit harder than Ralph expected. She'd been a combat xeno-engineer, stationed at the frontier wars where humanity clashed with the Kresh Collective. She'd seen things, done things, lost people. The network's constant presence in her neural implant had become suffocating. Everyone's thoughts and emotions bleeding into hers until she couldn't distinguish her trauma from the collective anxiety of billions. "I needed quiet," Ralph admitted. "Just quiet." Molly was silent for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, the dragon moved toward the door. "The Eastern Ridge has a cave system. It is larger, more suitable for my kind. I will relocate." "Wait." The word left Ralph's mouth before she could stop it. The dragon paused. "You've been here 3,000 years. I've been here 10 minutes. Why would you leave?" "Because you need this place more than I do." Something in those ancient eyes spoke of understanding born from eons of existence, of witnessing countless species rise and fall, of recognizing suffering in all its forms. This creature had seen the birth of stars and the death of civilizations. It knew pain. Ralph made a decision that surprised herself. "The cabin's big enough for two. If you stay on your side, I'll stay on mine." Molly's eyes flickered with what might have been surprise. "You would share your solitude with a dragon?" I came here to escape humanity, Ralph said. You're not human, besides. She looked at the scorch marks on the floor, evidence of centuries of peaceful existence. You're not asking me to be connected. You're not demanding I feel your feelings or share your thoughts. You're just here. I am just here, Molly agreed, a note of appreciation in that ancient voice. They established rules quickly. Molly claimed the eastern half of the cabin, where the ceiling was highest. Ralph took the west, setting up her minimal possessions. They spoke little those first days, two beings nursing their respective wounds in companionable silence. But as weeks passed, they began to share stories. Molly spoke of distant galaxies and ancient wars, of civilizations that had reached for godhood and fallen short. Ralph talked about human ambition, about reaching for the stars before understanding the darkness between them. One evening, as purple twilight painted the mountains, Molly asked, "Do you regret coming here?" Ralph looked up from her meal. Outside, 3 moons rose over jagged peaks. Inside, a dragon from beyond time shared her space, asking nothing but offering presents. The quiet wasn't empty anymore, it was full of understanding. "No," she said honestly. "I found exactly what I needed." Molly's rumbling purr shook the cabin walls. "As did I, human. As did I." In seeking isolation, Ralph had discovered something better. Solitude shared with someone who understood its value. And in a cabin on the edge of known space, a human and a dragon proved that sometimes the best companionship comes from respecting each other's silence. The mountain stood eternal, and within it, 2 solitary souls had found their peace. The end.